friend, welcome. I thought we would have a little coffee chat today and talk about chores and responsibilities and how we kind of divvy those out in our home. If you're new here, thanks for coming. I'm Jen. I'm married to Alex and we have 4 kids. They are 3, 6, 11, and 14. And I like to chat about contentment and what that means in a world that's just full of comparison. And you might think, what does contentment have to do with chores? We will get to that. I don't know about you, but I feel like chores are just a constant. There's always something to do. Everyone has to do them. It doesn't matter your stage of life or what role you play in life. There are responsibilities out in your home. It often seems to me as a homemaker, a stay-at-home mom, if that's how you categorize yourself, maybe you're like me a little bit and you feel that role falls, the chore role kind of falls on you. And that's okay. I think that's pretty normal. I think that's common, I guess. It makes sense. If my husband is at work all day and I'm home, it makes sense that I would be doing things throughout the day when he's at work. But for me, I have homeschool, I have a side job, I have a side hustle, I have other things, and I can't do it all. I can't do everything. And so it doesn't look like me doing the laundry and doing the dishes and cooking all the food and cleaning all the things all the time. We do have things that we split up between the two of us and with our children. So kids are a huge part of it for us. They do participate. Some people call them chores. I've heard some people call them contributions, family responsibilities. It doesn't matter what you call them. It's just important that kids participate. They're a part of the family. They should participate in what is happening in the home, and what is happening often is cleaning. They can start really young, even as young as 18 months. They can start picking up their own toys or putting away silverware or helping, just helping in general. That young especially. Oftentimes helping seems like making a bigger mess, but it is helping them to learn and just get used to being a part of that. I'm not perfect at it, I'll be honest. My 3-year-old does not much, just doesn't, because it's easier. I'll be real honest. It's easier to have my older kids pick up than to try and teach my 3-year-old how to do it. And that's laziness on my part. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm saying that this is what happens in our house. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So there's a lot of back and forth, I think, with people of, do we pay the kids? Do we give them an allowance? I really think that should be up to each individual family. And I think that changes with seasons. I feel like sometimes that's warranted, or in some situations that's warranted. We've done things where we have household responsibilities or family responsibilities, and that's done just because you're a part of the family. But you can do things, additional things, to earn money. So as an example, my kids are expected to help with the laundry. Usually that's me saying, hey, can you go switch the laundry, put what's in the washing machine into the dryer? Or can you bring the laundry basket in? Or can you put away this stack of clothes? But there have been times when a kiddo has said, hey, I would like to earn some money around the house. What can I do? And I have said, okay, if you want to be responsible for the laundry for a certain amount of time, a week or whatever, I will pay you this amount of money. And so then that to me looks like that child putting all the gathering all the clothes, putting all of them into the dryer, into the washing machine, switching them, bringing them in the house. My washer and dryer's in the garage. Putting them in the house, folding them, putting them away. All of it for the entire whatever set amount of time is. So I think that is just a little example of where some things are household responsibilities and some things you can earn extra money for. Maybe mowing the grass would be something they could earn extra money for if maybe, I don't know, maybe. That kind of seems like, I don't know, there's some things that I think everything is just a part of being a part of the family, you know, but I think that it's when it's that person's sole responsibility all the time, then maybe that is something that they can be paid for. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make sense. I do think it's important too then as kiddos get older that they have more responsibility. It just makes sense as they're learning things and as they're growing, they want more privileges, they have more responsibilities. And so for us, that looks like, you know, if your chores aren't done, you don't go to your extracurricular stuff. Or if you want to watch a movie, you need to be tidying the living room first. Here are some things that our kiddos do just to be a part of the family. They clean their rooms. They do laundry or help with laundry, really, as I already told you. They help with dishes. We've done some really good things with dishes and like cleaning up the kitchen and stuff where we've kind of done like a rotation of, I have 2 older girls who are quite responsible and are very good at helping. We've done things like on a rotation where one kid has breakfast dishes, one kid has lunch dishes, and then mom and dad are responsible for dinner. And then we rotate through it. That works in some seasons. Right now it looks like, who did dishes last? Okay, now someone else needs to do them. So the same person isn't always doing the dishes. My husband specifically is really good at just making sure the day is started with clean dishes. So like last night, we had a really busy night for some reason, and he got up this morning and made sure all the dishes were done. When I got up for the day, everything was ready to go. So that was good. And I think a lot of that is just taking care of each other, knowing, you know what, we're a family and I don't want to leave my pile of dirty dishes for someone else to have to do. So that's hard to teach too, because it's hard to do just even as an adult. So to try to teach kids and teenagers how to do that, that's tough. We also have done a rotating thing where someone does the dishes, someone sweeps the kitchen floor, someone clears the table. That's worked in seasons as well. We expect our kids to take out the garbage. Right now, I wish I had a really good like chore system I'm sharing with you, but I'm just being real and honest that works in certain seasons of our life, and right now that's not working. And so what is working is asking a child, hey, this needs done, can you please do it? Or do it. I don't always like giving them a yes or no question when it's something that I don't really expect them to say no to. Does that make sense? We expect them to help outside. So that might mean picking up the dog poop. It might mean helping to mow the lawn or mowing the lawn. Both of my older girls know how to mow the lawn, and one of them particularly really enjoys that. Little kids can pick up sticks in the yard. We have 3 giant trees in our front yard, and one is mostly dead, and so it drops sticks all the time. And that's something that my 3-year-old can do quite easily. In fact, he enjoys chasing people with those sticks. So, put them to use. Put that energy to use in helping to get those sticks picked up and put in the proper place, which would be our fire pit. We do like a big cleaning day, generally about once a month when I am in a good season. And that's the day we do like the dusting and cleaning off cobwebs and wiping down fans and light fixtures and baseboards and making sure like the throw rugs actually get taken up instead of just swept around, things like that. So they are expected to participate in that. And again, we've done it different ways and different times works differently. A few weeks ago, my husband and I were saying, there was a couple different projects that needed done, and I was like, why don't you take one kid in one room and I'll take another kid in another room, or two and two rather, and we'll just knock those out. Sometimes I've had it rotate where I'll set a timer for 20 minutes and one kid helps me for 20 minutes, and then it's the next kid's turn, and then it's the next kid's turn, and then it's the next kid's turn. Or I give them specific jobs. Okay, you need to wash the windows today and you need to wipe down the baseboards, and then that's it. My oldest does babysit, and she babysits outside her home. She also babysits for us. The way we do this, and actually I was talking to my mom about this because I am significantly older than two of my siblings. And so I remember babysitting for them when I was older, but my friends also babysat for them as well. And my mom was saying just recently that she would always give us the option if we wanted to babysit, we could, and she paid us half, I believe, of what she would pay like a non-sibling babysitter. And I thought that was just wise because, it's not forcing them to watch a younger sibling, but just giving the option. And then if they don't want to, then they don't have to, and that's fine. And so I try really hard to ask if my oldest wants to babysit. The payment situation works out just differently in different situations. And because I do work inside our home, sometimes my oldest are responsible for helping to play with the kids and just kind of try to keep them occupied. Now, because I'm in the home and my job does not require me to laser focus on what I'm doing most of the time, I can still be available. So, if a situation arises or, something, but oftentimes they are responsible for just helping out with their younger siblings. And I think that does a couple things. One, it does help me. It helps me a lot. And I don't always pay them in money, but sometimes there's treats involved or extra privileges like shows or TV or something. Screen time. It's always a bonus, right? But I think it also builds the bond within the siblings as well. When they are responsible for occupying and playing, it just helps them to grow together. You may disagree with me, and that's totally fine, but that's kind of how it works in our house most of the time. Now, maybe you don't have kids, or even when you do have kids, sometimes there needs to be a delineation, or maybe not delineation. It's not I don't know what the right word is, but some communication on what is the husband's responsibility, what's the wife's responsibility, and how that works together. I've already touched on that a little bit, and I think that it's important to really think about the other people in your family and, am I setting them up for success in this, or am I just making this miserable for them? So, if my husband is the one doing the dishes and I'm just constantly just piling dishes and not rinsing anything, or intentionally making extra dishes for him, that's not showing him love. Just if I'm the one who is almost always doing the laundry and my husband consistently leaves his laundry in a different spot than in the hamper, that's not showing love. I will be real honest and tell you that he does not do that. He's really good at taking care of things. He's a way better housekeeper than I am. We say this often. It's not news. So anyway, really early on in our marriage, we had, and still do to this day, 19 and a half years later, have what we call garbage wars. When I was growing up, my mom was primarily a stay-at-home mom, and she was very pretty typical stay-at-home mom. She did pretty much everything inside the house, and my stepdad did pretty much everything outside the house. And that seems to work really well for them. And that's what I grew up seeing. The other thing that my stepdad always does is takes out the garbage. And so I just grew up saying that my dad always took out the garbage. And my husband grew up, his mom was a single mom for quite a while and a working mom. And she is very much a independent, strong, like go-getter woman. And so she did everything, partially because she had to, and then just because she wanted to. And so he grew up seeing that she always took out the garbage. And so in my mind, when we first got married, it would be Alex's responsibility to take out the garbage because that's what I saw growing up. And then in his mind, because of what he saw growing up, he assumed that it would be my responsibility to take out the garbage. And so we would just pile the garbage up and pile it and pile it and pile it. And it was like, see how high we could get the garbage can to go before one of us finally came in and took out the garbage. I don't know how many times we've done that. It's too many to count, but thankfully it's gotten less and less over the last 19 and a half years. We've figured out a few things along the way. The first being to communicate early and often. The earlier on in your marriage that you sit down and say, you know what, my dad always took out the garbage and I think that should be your responsibility. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's a right way to think, but if I don't communicate that to him, then we're going to have garbage wars for 27 years. But when we finally said, okay, why don't you ever take out the garbage? And we had that conversation and we figured out, oh, it's because this is how we thought all along. If we'd never had that conversation, the problem would never be solved. And so the earlier on you look at your spouse and you say, hey, I noticed this. How can we fix it? Why are we doing it this way? So I think that there's a lot of I don't necessarily think that it's right that I assumed my husband would take out the garbage because my dad always did. But that is why I assumed it. So when we finally had that conversation, we were finally able to open those lines of communication. We were able to fix the problem. And so I feel like I'm rambling right now, but I hope I'm just getting my point across that the more you communicate, the earlier on you communicate, the better it's going to be in your relationship. So I also think it's important that you ask for help. I often take on way too much, and I do a lot. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that's my reality. And sometimes I have to look at someone in my family and say, okay, I have these 4 things that need to be done. I have time in the day to do 2 of them. Who would like to do these other 2 things? Or can you help me with these 2 other things? Especially if it looks like to me, the rest of my family isn't doing anything important. They might be doing something important to them, but it just might not look important to me. So if my daughter is sitting and reading a book and I have what feels overwhelming to me and I say, you know what, I have these 3 things to do. Will you please do this for me before you finish reading your book? If I look at my husband and I say, tonight, we just did this tonight. I said, you know what, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can you please do this for me so that it takes that off my plate? He, of course, has the option to say, you know what, I'm overwhelmed too, and I don't really want to add that to my plate. And then we have to look at other things and decide. I just have to decide, you know what, sometimes the laundry can stay piled in the room unfolded, and I can deal with it tomorrow and not necessarily have to do it right that second. Also, I want to encourage you to not be afraid to change things up. Whether it's you and your spouse or with your kids, not everything works the same year after year after year after year. It just doesn't. And so if something's not working, change it. Don't do it for a while. Maybe once a month cleaning works. Maybe 15 minutes a day works for you. When we were growing up, we always did Saturday morning was cleaning day. You know what? There have been different seasons that those different ideas have worked really well for us. And then seasons change, and then you have to try something new. You know what? If it's one kiddo's responsibility to fold the laundry, but they're not quite ready and they're not doing it right, maybe give them a different responsibility for a little while until they're ready to take on the laundry. So what does this have to do with contentment? Well, I think it is the piece of knowing that I don't have it all together, and not everybody has it all together. And just because it might look like someone is doing a fantastic job from social media or whatever, that doesn't mean it's always perfect. And I think that sometimes we just have to look at our lives and say, this is my life, and this is my family, this is my home, and what works for me might not work for you, and that's okay. And what works for you might not work for me, and that's okay too. You know, I spend way too much of my time judging my life by other people's standards, and really, that's not good. I need to look at my home, my family, and say, you know what? This works for now, and this is what we're gonna do. And if it's not working, then how can I make it a little better? It doesn't have to be perfect, just a little better. All right, well, I think I'm done chatting. My coffee's not gone, but that's okay. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I would really love to know, do you do something specific with chores? Do you have a chore chart? Do you have a cleaning day? Let me know in the comments. I like getting other ideas. I really do. I just have to work hard to not judge myself by those other ideas. So if you've liked this video, please give me a like, a thumbs up, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I make videos on motherhood, marriage, and homemaking similar to this. If you would be willing to do me a favor and share this video on social media or with someone who you think might enjoy it, I would really appreciate that. That'll help as I try to build my YouTube channel along with those likes and subscribes. It helps other people to find my channel and find this video as well. So you can always check out another video right here, and just please remember that however you do chores, household responsibilities, whatever you call them in your house, you are okay just the way you are. I'll see you soon.